I said, do you have religion? And they said, religion? Isn't that something that's created by man? Do we have faith? Yes, we have faith. Do we believe that there is that which you call God? We accept that based on our science.
You already know what it is. It's your boy Laidback with another reaction, another review, another episode. Hey, TikTok, you up to bat. Bow.
Bitch, I'm drowning up in it. Most of you niggas is lazy. Half of you niggas fugazi. Yeah, I be spitting that crack shit. Cause I was born.
It's your boy Laidback. Welcome back to my channel. Hey, two things we gotta do. You gotta hit that subscribe button. I'm drinking this water. You already know what it is, man. Think rich in 2026. Think rich in 2026. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you hit the notification bell. Stay up to date with all the videos. We back with another one, man. Hey, this is about extraterrestrials. You know what's been going on. They've been releasing a lot of stuff with these extraterrestrials, man. So this is what we got going on. You make it to the end of this one, you a real one for real. But hey, if you haven't tapped into my TikTok yet, we doing live music streams over there. It's going crazy. Good conversations. I'm just telling you, it's a good spot, man. So pull up, man. Pull up over there. I'm gonna make sure y'all follow over there. But let's go ahead and get into it. Fire Squad, what's popping? Let's get it. Before we get back into the video, I want to tell you guys a quick and easy way that you can make money just by playing games on your phone. Free Cash is a program that helps games and apps to find new users. So how it works is the companies get paid just from you playing the games. But where Free Cash comes in is they take some of that money and they reroute it to you. Now, this is not a get rich quick scheme. You actually have to play the games to actually get the money. So you can either hit the link in my description or you can use a QR code on the screen. Super easy to sign up. All you need is an email and a password. If you use the link, they'll give you $5 immediately to your account, credited to your account by using the link. And it's super easy to withdraw. You can either withdraw through Bitcoin, PayPal, or bank transfer. Super easy. Most people is making like $10 to $20 a day. But if you got some time, you can really lock in. You can see that this game right here is paying $1,020 just to complete it. So it's games out there where you can make some money for real, but you got to lock in and put the time in though. So if you already use your phone to play games and stuff like that, let that phone actually make some money for you too. So make sure you hit that link in the description, hit the QR code, make some easy money, man. Shout out to the squad. Peace.
About the weirdest shit that he heard when he was at S4.
No, what was it?
He said the weirdest shit was they said they had a very thick file that was about religion. And basically what it boiled down to is, at least what this file was saying, was that they view us as containers.
Yes.
And he wasn't specifying containers of what, like containers of souls? Like, I don't know, but that's the terminology they used. They view us as containers. Can you imagine if like a soul is an energy that you have to farm or that you have to extract? Just like how we extract oil from the earth, that souls are things you extract. And so you need to grow a bunch of them. So you need people just fuck up a storm and clutter up a planet. And really what you're doing is just farming souls.
Yeah, dude, that's so
Can you imagine?
crazy.
You think that you're an OnlyFans model and you're a DJ at a strip club and you're a football player and you're a top scientist and you're this and you're that and but really on the highest level, you're just in a farm. You're in a farm and there's a super intelligent entity that's above and beyond anything you could ever comprehend, and the only thing it doesn't have is souls. So it needs souls, because souls are a real element. It's just like you need cobalt to make a battery.
Yeah, that's the belief.
You actually need a soul.
We're the battery that runs the simulation.
Ooh.
So deep, dude.
Well, why is that weirder than black holes?
It's gonna be interesting. Do your own research.
I want to queue up a video that I've been given. And as before it starts, I'm going to describe. This was taken October 30th of 2024. This video is of an MQ-9 drone tracking an orb, or this object, off the coast of Yemen. You'll see that another MQ-9 launched a Hellfire missile. That you cannot see that drone. And so I'm not going to explain it to you. You'll see exactly what it does.
I'm looking hard as hell. Oh, that joint bounced off of it? It bounced off of it?
This is when it zoomed out. So you can still see it traveling. So, Mr. Knapp, do you have you heard about, events like this occurring? And what information might you have?
I have heard about events like this.
Really?
I have heard about this event. Jeremy Corbell and I talked about it in one of our episodes a while back. We did not have the video, though.
Oh.
There are servers where there's a whole bank of these kind of videos that Congress has not been allowed to see, that the public hasn't been allowed to see. Occasionally, some of that stuff gets out in the wild, and it comes our way. It should be going to you. The public should be seeing this stuff.
Facts.
And why you're not allowed to, I don't know. But that's a Hellfire missile smacking into that UFO and just bounced right off. And it kept going.
Wow.
It kept going, and it looks like the debris was taken with it.
Yeah. What the hell is that? What?
So,
Bro, this about to get wild. This about to get...
Did you see on the base?
Saw aliens, yes.
Dead or alive?
Alive.
What were they doing? What did they want from us?
The aliens are there. It's a transfer of technology, basically. There's a trade of information and a trade of material things. I'll just give you one element that we give them. We give them boron. We give them boron. Mine processed boron. And there's other things that they also trade.
They trade
in
that.
addition to understanding the humans more. There is some trade on the human part of it, but I don't know what that is. I was not involved.
So is there a relationship between the U.S. government and aliens?
There is a relation to, you call it the U.S., and you have to understand and maybe, I don't know if I've explained it before, but I think I have. You have the U.S. government. The U.S. government is only an interface. They really don't know what's going on, totally. As far as I understand it, there's only an interface with the CIA, but I call it a satellite government.
Are the aliens prisoners?
The aliens were not ever held as a prisoner. They could have left any time.
Really?
What originally happened was they had 4 that was apparently accepted the fact that, we're here, we're going to do something with, the humans. And they were taken to New Mexico, to a facility in New Mexico, where they spent 9 months. This is from a saucer landing, or you could call it a saucer crash, that happened in outside of Kingman, Arizona. That was in about May of 1953. They're in several different places in the States and elsewhere. No, I just don't. I understand there's a place in Australia where they have a certain number of them. But, how many, for example, England and so forth and so on, Puerto Rico, I just wouldn't know.
In the skies above Area 51 in Nevada, numerous objects similar to UFOs have been spotted. Are they piloted by Americans?
Assembled there. Yes. Assembled there.
So they're not.
They might fabricate some parts, but mostly the parts are fabricated elsewhere and shipped into there, flown in,
So who the hell is...
Is there no hostility from another species because there's a higher governing species, or is it just the fact that there is no hostility whatsoever? How can we be sure of that? First question.
Everybody who I know who has dealt directly with those beings have told me our own experience, and that is they are completely non-hostile. They have been portrayed as such, because how do you unite the world around a military response? You create a false alien threat. This is what Werner von Braun warned about, and we are very much at that point, unfortunately. So I think that calmer minds need to prevail, but there is no evidence they are hostile. Now let me make one other point. As I said one time to a general, I won't say who it is, because if they were hostile, and given the galactically foolish things we have done, targeting them, striking them, now these systems that are faster than the speed of light, moving out into space, the technologies they have in a fraction of a second could shut down all those systems and everything else. They have not. Why have they not done that? Because they are essentially very peaceful, highly organized, socially evolved, psychologically and emotionally evolved civilizations. One other point, common sense.
They completely sound like the opposite of us. They said peaceful, you know.
If you possess those sort of weapons and you're still of the consciousness of violence, you're going to blow yourself up or some nearby planet with you. Because we're not talking about, let's forget science fiction. You're not talking about boom, boom with a laser beam, right? Or a kinetic missile, or even a thermonuclear missile. You're talking being able to affect the fabric of space-time. And then if those technologies are weaponized, it's over in a fraction of a second. So the proof, I said to one senior military guy, that they are not hostile is that you and I are still breathing the free air of Earth. If you know what we've been doing, it's quite clear that this is actually proof that they're not hostile. If you understand what those technologies are, and if you understand what covert illegal projects have been doing.
That's a great point. They could have been took us out.
Did you ever figure out, or did they tell you where this craft came from what system or whereabouts?
Well, there was documentation that they had, but you know, it was something that I couldn't verify. I knew what I was working on because I got to analyze it and you know, develop theories about it. But as far as information from other people, I don't know if the information's correct, but I assume most of it was. If in fact it was, they claim that the craft came from the Zeta Reticuli star system. It's a star system called the Net, I believe, that's visible only in the southern hemisphere, so don't bother looking at it if you're in the United States. But it's about 32 light years away, which is a tremendous distance, considering that even if you were moving at the speed of light, it would take you 32 years to get there and 32 years to get back, which of course we can't, a speed we can't even attain now.
Wow.
Of course, this craft obviously gets back and forth faster than that.
Well, it must, and because of the assumption of number one, it's small. Number two, there's no stores for anything such as food.
Wow.
It doesn't appear to be any waste area. It doesn't appear to hold any cargo. So wherever it came from there really fast. You know, that's why another reason I called it the sport model. It has no luggage space.
Kind of like a dragster.
Exactly.
Got no trunk, it's got no bathroom, it's
right.
got no bathroom.
It's got one specific function to get from one place to the other as fast as possible, and that's what this looked like it did.
Wow, 32 years.
Had people who I know are in the know, and I've mentioned this before, and one of them told me the truth is indigestible. It's not something that we could, that we would be able to fully grasp or entertain, and that it's like, you know, it would be like telling somebody something that they can't do anything about, and they don't know what the repercussions of that would be. It's so great. It's so world-changing and transformational, and maybe not in a good way, you know. So,
I mean, what could be so jarring? What could be so disruptive? I mean, bless you. Like the idea that we're being visited by another advanced intelligence that's more advanced than us. I mean, do you think, or is it something else?
I think it's much deeper than.
Okay, what is it?
I said, do you have religion? And they said, religion? Isn't that something that's created by man? Do we have faith? Yes, we have faith. Do we believe that there is that which you call God? We accept that based on our science. It's no longer a faith-based idea that there is a creator, that which you call God. That truly is. Do you believe in life after death? Yes, they do. They even have means to communicate with their loved ones.
Really?
It's not some parlor trick. They really have the means to do it.
Wow.
But there are forbidden questions that you can't ask about what happens after death.
Really?
Otherwise, you ask that, you're cut off immediately.
This is very fascinating. He was going in. He was going in, bro.
Trump actually found out about the base facts in his last presidency and was contemplating stepping to the microphone then.
What base facts?
So Jay Stratton, who, ran the task force, he says on camera in my film that he briefed, that Mnuchin, the Secretary of Treasury, asked for a briefing on the lay of the land because Trump asked him to get the briefing, and Trump had already known that the base facts, that we're not alone in the universe, that there's been recovery of crashed craft, right? He knew those base facts, and he told Mnuchin that he was thinking about going public. And so Mnuchin reached out to Stratton to get a briefing, and he told Stratton that the reason he wanted the briefing is because he needed to be able to evaluate what the impact would be to the economy if the president decided to step to the mic and tell the world we're not alone. Stratton tells the story on camera in the film, and I've heard a lot more about it off camera.
Trump said, I'm about to snitch.
They went down with a salvage ship, dropped a net, and brought it up. And they got it into the salvage ship. Just barely, because it was 15 meters in diameter and 12 meters in height. The bottom portion was damaged, but these people on board immediately identified it as an extraterrestrial craft.
Oh, they knew something. They played this game before.
So they transported it to Groom Lake, or Area 51. They opened it up. They found remains of 2 extraterrestrials inside. They found that these 2 extraterrestrials were at control panels. They had hand indentations where these extraterrestrials would be placing their hands.
How many fingers?
5 fingers, but there was no control mechanisms in there. So each one of them was approximately 68 inches tall. They were human-like. They had some kind of caps on their head. When they removed that, they found out there was hair. It was blonde hair. Now today, we would be considered the tall Nordics.
Ah, the tall Nordics. Okay. I thought you were going that way.
And in the last compartment, and this is somewhat of a shocker, they found human remains.
Whoa. Whoa.
He was at lunch and he looked a little sort of traumatized, and they get into it and they find out that this guy had been an employee at Area 51. And I think they're joking about, because they just know the lore. They're like, so like, have you seen any aliens? And he kind of goes white in the face. Apparently he had been taken down underground and seen a reptilian being in custody, like somehow chained up. And that the thing seemed to speak to him like telepathically, and he freaked out and ran, and has been, I think, somewhat traumatized ever since. Yeah.
It's crazy.
It is crazy.
There also, Danny told me about this other story about somebody who is, I guess, maybe translating calls, I'm going to butcher this, or transcribing calls or something, and overheard them say at S4 that the Mantis people didn't want any humans in the room.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And I was like, oh, that's 2 weird things there. You said the Mantis people, and then you said they don't like us.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Like we're inferior.
Well, they said they're not hostile.
So in 2001, a crop formation appeared inside the Chilbolton Observatory that many believe mirrors a reply to the 1974 Arecibo radio message. The symbolic signal designed by Frank Drake with help of Carl Sagan and Linda Saltzman-Sagan, and transmitted from the Arecibo Observatory. That original signal described basic human biology, DNA, and our location in the solar system, and the Chilbolton Formation appeared to mimic the same digital structure, but obviously with some key differences, including biology, and where they were located in their star system. 1 year later in 2002, another unsettling formation appeared at Crabwood, showing the face of what many described as a gray alien beside a disk of spiral binary, revealing the warning, "Beware the bearers of false gifts and their broken promises."
Whoa.
Much pain, but still time. Believe. There is good out there. We oppose deception. Conduit closing.
We oppose
Then in
deception.
2015, a massive binary-style formation appeared again near Turin, echoing the same warning-style layout and reinforcing the pattern people had already noticed, along with the Latin phrase, timeo et ferentes. I fear those who bear gifts.
This is some creepy stuff, though.
Both recordings show government-filmed objects that were officially designated as UAPs, unidentified anomalous phenomena, and they weren't meant to be seen by the public. Now, both videos were recorded by MQ-9 Reaper drones, and both show objects making movements that Corbell says defy basic physics. The first video dates back to August of 2012. It's recorded over the Persian Gulf using infrared sensors. It shows 3 objects moving in what appears to be a triangular formation, and at one point, one of the objects falls back, and it suddenly accelerates forward again, kind of like in a slingshot motion to rejoin the other 2. Weird. The second video, more recent, 2021, recorded during a U.S. drone mission over southern Syria. And in this footage, you have a single object that's tracked by a weapons-grade targeting system. Now, it moves steadily at first, then suddenly changes direction, accelerates out of frame at what analysts describe as extreme speed. There's no visible propulsion. NewsNation has not independently verified the authenticity of these videos. The Pentagon has not confirmed them or even commented. But what are we actually seeing in these videos? Nick Pope's here, investigated UAPs for the UK Ministry of Defense. Nick, good to see you. These the real deal?
Yes, I think so. Jeremy and George, the journalists concerned, have a proven track record of getting authentic Pentagon footage into the public domain. And when you see these sorts of things just move in a straight line at a constant speed, sure, you can say balloons, birds, but as you said in your intro, the Pentagon itself put this into the UAP category, unidentified anomalous phenomena, and that's what we're looking at.
2021.
Was right up my alley. The priest said that as the times on this planet gets more and more difficult, and calamities of all kinds are striking the planet more and more frequently, demon spirits are going to impress people with the importance of Sunday sacredness.
Roger, when I was a teenager back in the 1970s, I remember a song that came out talking about the age of Aquarius.
Mm-hmm.
And since then, we've seen the development of the New Age. And I wondered if, back when you were involved in spirit worship, if they talked about New Age at all.
Oh, yes. It was a big thing that was coming up. One of the major deceptions of the last days. And the priest told us, we talked quite a while, and then he said, could I have a little bit more of your time? I want to do something very fascinating. He says, the grain plane, the master's grain plane, for harvesting the nations, for harvesting the multitudes of the earth into his cause, just before the close of the great controversy between the forces of good and evil. So we continued, after we expressed ourselves that we're deeply interested to know more about the activities of spirits. And he said it's going to be done in a unique manner. This grain plane is going to take people are going to eat the stuff. Because he says spirits, demon spirits, will declare themselves to be inhabitants of far distant planets in the galaxies that are coming to warn the inhabitants of planet Earth of the impending destruction of the planet unless something seriously proper is done to avoid it. And he went on saying that they will claim to have out-of-body experiences. Are you familiar with out-of-body experiences?
I've read about them.
In other words, so there's some persons are supposed to be able to, they believe in their immortal soul.
Astral projection.
Yes, right. Goes into different parts of the world and sees things and come back, and then they write all about it.
I've heard of that.
So due to the fact that the millions of the earth, people, believe in people having an immortal soul, it has to be readily accepted when the spirits will, through a trance medium, converse with influential people of the line, you see.
Now, what is a trance medium?
It's a channeler today.
What is known today as a channeler?
Channeler, yeah. Okay. Shirley MacLaine's experience of getting involved with spiritism and with the supposed inhabitants of far distant planets in the galaxies, I taped the whole thing 3 hours.
And you were hearing the fulfillment of what this high priest had said 45 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. So he went on explaining about the fact that the spirits will show themselves willing to give valuable guidance that will not only help people avoid the destruction of the planet, but it would cause it to enter into a higher state of existence. For instance, he said the spirits will promise, and this is a big word, promise, that if their recommendations are followed carefully, they will usher in a glorious new age of peace and prosperity, and there'll be, there'll be no more wars, you see. There'll be no more famines. There'll be no more people getting unhappy with one another. Neighbors will love neighbor, and social unrest will not take place no more. It'll be sure.
Bro, I don't know, bro. What you talking about?
Can you just like outline it for us more clearly? Like, what exactly is he telling you they've seen?
They've recovered craft that have crashed. Some of those craft have fought each other. In other words, people say, how could they crash? They come across the universe. Well, we're not so sure they'd come all that far, frankly. We're not so sure they don't have places nearby to come visit. They're a little bit like gardeners from the descriptions of the people I've had as sources. They check on the garden every once in a while, but they have their own business. They have their own family fights. They have their own voyages. Now, what he's talking about are actual bodies on the ground. I imagine there's going to be a day where you're going to sit down in front of your television and people who you trust, scientists, politicians, ones who don't necessarily agree with each other on everything, but do agree on something like the truth, will bring forward the evidence. You will be convinced. It will not rock your world if you're a religious person. You can handle it. If you've read the Bible, there are all sorts of creatures in there who aren't explained. If you believe that these are a demonic presence, I don't think they are any more than certain animals are. But, you know, there was a time when we thought we were alone in the universe almost as a planet, that the sun revolved around us and so on. But we survived the revelation that it was the other way around. We'll survive this. It'll be interesting. Kids will be more interested in science. I think our universe will light up for us again. They've kept it to themselves for, I think, obvious reasons. And I spoke to someone just recently. I said, how should they first disclose this? And he said, they should take the craft that they've reverse engineered that have capacities that you and I don't know about and fly them over Phoenix. And in fact, that happened because the Phoenix Lights is one of the great UFO scares of all time, if you know about it. So I predict that's going to happen, and I don't think it's going to be all that long. And I think after all the movies and all the, pop culture, we're not going to be all that shocked by it.
Man, people going to be shocked by it still, bro.
When I'm talking about non-human races interacting with and manipulating human society, I've not sat in a darkened room and pulled it out the bloody ether. I've been to more than 60 countries over 30 years researching this. I've talked to whistleblowers on the inside of the American military and intelligence complex. I've talked to shamans around the world who are carriers of the ancient knowledge. And when you put what the two say together, you get the same answer, that yes, there is a non-human force that is manipulating human society. You see it in ancient accounts. You see the common themes around the world in different cultures describing the same thing, that this non-human force manipulated human genetics. This comes out in the Old Testament, for instance, as the sons of God who interbred with the daughters of men. People say, "Oh, that's in the Bible." Well, yes, it is, but the theme is everywhere in non-Bible countries galore. You know.
So if it's not ours,
yeah,
what is the predominant theory of what they are?
The predominant theory is that they is multiple species, and there's no one answer. Everyone I talk to who has real visibility to the crash retrieval program says the non-human bodies that have been recovered in some of these crafts all look different. There are multiple species. The universe is full of life.
How many different species?
I've heard of at least 4 body types that were recovered.
So all I've heard of is the Greys, which is like the Close Encounters of the Third Kind ones, the Nordics, which is also known as like the Tall Whites, right? Is that the same thing?
I've heard people say it.
And then there is the Reptilians. People talk about reptilians being the scariest one.
No one's ever used that word with me, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah.
And then there's Mantis. There's ones that are like insect-like.
I've heard people say that, yeah.
I haven't heard of any more than that.
Yeah. Well, I've also heard multiple military people talk about little beings that almost look like ET, little bots that don't seem sentient, that seem like they're almost like
a robot?
Yeah, like a robot almost, yeah.
Some artificial creation?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Whoa.
If you don't believe in aliens, I'm going to change your mind. I have all my information in front of me. I'm going to include clips. This video is going to mainly be about all the whistleblowers, all the government officials who have come forward about this shit, okay? Let's get started. All right, we'll start out with Mr. David Grush. He served 14 years as an intelligence officer in the U.S. Air Force, and his rank was major. He was the first person to legally file a whistleblower complaint regarding secret UAP crash retrieval and reverse engineering program. His testimony was given under oath to Congress on July 26, 2023, and the Inspector General deemed his claims credible and urgent. Mr. Grush claimed that some of the recovered crash sites included biological remains that were deemed non-human. And he says he interviewed around 40 witnesses who have first-hand knowledge of the program. Couple quotes from Mr. Grush. The U.S. government is operating with secrecy above congressional oversight with regards to UAPs. I was informed in the course of my official duties of a multi-decade UAP crash retrieval and reverse engineering program to which I was denied access. And here is a clip of one of his congressional hearings. There are a few other important people around this topic in the background.
You've stated that the government is in possession of potentially non-human spacecraft. Based on your experience and extensive conversations with experts, do you believe our government has made contact with intelligent extraterrestrials?
Something I can't discuss in public setting.
Okay, I can't ask when you think this occurred. If you believe we have crashed craft, stated earlier, do we have the bodies of the pilots who piloted this craft?
As I've stated publicly already in my News Nation interview, biologics came with some of these recoveries, yeah.
Were they, I guess, human or non-human biologics?
Non-human, and that was the assessment of people with direct knowledge on the program I talked to that are currently still on the program.
And was this documentary evidence, this video, photos, eyewitness? Like, how would that be determined?
The specific documentation I would have to talk to you in a skiff about.
Crazy, right? And that's just the fucking beginning, right? Okay, so next is Mr. Luis Elizondo. He was a former U.S. Army counterintelligence officer for over 20 years. So he served in active combat zones, including Afghanistan, South America, and the Middle East. He was the former head of the Pentagon UAP program called ATIP, which stands for Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program.
Whoa.
He resigned from the Department of Defense in October of 2017 after higher-ups were ignoring UAP evidence. Within days, he went public, appearing in the New York Times, and he revealed that the Pentagon had a secret $22 million UFO program, again, ATIP, that investigated military encounters with UAP that defied physics. A couple quotes from Mr. Liu. We had very high-ranking military and intelligence officials who were aware of these encounters. What was so surprising was that technology being observed far beyond our capability. I'm not telling you that it's extraterrestrial, but I am telling you it's not ours. And then here is a clip of one of his congressional hearings.
Let me be clear. UAP are real. Advanced technologies not made by our government or any other government are monitoring sensitive military installations around the globe. Furthermore, the U.S. is in possession of UAP technologies, as are some of our adversaries. I believe we are in the midst of a multi-decade secretive arms race, one funded by misallocated taxpayer dollars and hidden from our elected representatives and oversight bodies. For many years, I was entrusted with protecting some of our nation's most sensitive programs. In my last position, I managed a special access program on behalf of the White House and the National Security Council. As such, I appreciate the need to protect certain sensitive intelligence and military information.
Okay. Now let's get real fucking serious. Mr. Bob Lazar. This shit's crazy, right? So he worked at a secret underground facility called S4 near Area 51. His job was to attempt to reverse engineer crashed UAP, and he publicly stated in many interviews that he was not a believer and called believers crazy people. He first thought the crafts were US made. Wow. He came forward anonymously in March of 1989. And he claimed that he saw 9 crafts and worked on one of them directly. He said that all the crafts were different, and he claimed the craft used a form of gravity wave propulsion powered by element 115, which helped bend gravity and produce anti-gravity effects. And element 115 was not officially discovered at this time. And he claimed that after coming forward, records were erased and he was threatened to stay quiet, which seems to be a very common thing regarding this topic. And then I have 3 quotes. The craft I worked on, when it's energized, produces a gravitational field. Nothing can touch it. Gravity doesn't function the way we think it does. It's a wave, not just a force. I don't have anything to gain by lying about this. I've lost jobs, my credibility, my privacy, everything, but it's the truth. When I was there, element 115 didn't exist on the periodic table. Now it does. That should tell you something. And then I do have 2 clips from interviews with Mr. Bob Lazar.
Did you actually see the craft that you worked on fly or operate?
Yeah, I did. On one occasion close up and on several occasions from about 10 miles away. On the one particular occasion, there was a test flight going on. They came and got me to witness a short duration flight, and I stood at the door of the hangar, and the craft lifted off the ground, which was an amazing sight in itself, something about 52 feet in diameter, virtually silently lift off the ground and just move around a bit and set back down. But that was the close range operation I got to saw.
Can humans duplicate that vehicle?
At the time I was there, that was not even in the realm of possibility.
How about, are they able to fly them?
Well, there was a test pilot flying the craft, so apparently we had developed the expertise at least to lift the thing off the ground and move it around. As far as taking it any great distance or taking it out of the atmosphere, it's something I don't think would happen. This is, a prized possession, an operating extraterrestrial craft, and things change when you leave the atmosphere. Things like the fact there's no air outside, the fact that there's not exactly a 100% chance you can bring it back now. So, I don't think they're flying around to Jupiter and taking looks at planets. I think they're very careful with it. They're just testing it, and and will remain that way for an extremely long time.
Okay, and then here is another one of him describing and sketching a UFO that he saw.
3 large cylindrical devices. These are on mounts that allow them to completely swivel up to 180 degrees and in 360-degree rotation. These are the gravity amplifiers themselves. Looking down from the top, you'd have the center. So it's the reactor here, powering the gravity amplifiers. Gravity amplifiers output goes into the gravity emitters at the bottom. The resulting gravity beam or anti-gravity wave can be pretty much put anywhere you want it to. I had access and was permitted to view and look at the operation of this main level with the gravity amplifiers and the level below the gravity emitters. They actually fly belly first. The craft flies along, leaves the atmosphere of the planet. It turns its belly to the destination. The 3 amplifiers focus in on the destination, and that's how it...
Fucking crazy. Okay, now we're going to get into threats and retaliation towards these whistleblowers, okay? Men in Black. David Grush claimed that his life was threatened and he was instructed to remain silent about the program, and I have 2 quotes from him. I've faced brutal, unfortunate tactics. My life was threatened and I was instructed to keep quiet. That was David Grush in 2023. I've suffered retaliation for my decision, but I am hopeful that my actions will ultimately lead to a positive outcome of increased transparency, which was July of 2023. There's less documented evidence of threats to Elizondo. He commonly says that he has to be careful with what he says and reveals rather than mentioning threats. I have a couple of quotes from him as well. The threats aimed at Elizondo and UFO whistleblowers aren't new, but are the latest in disturbing trend. This was a quote from Fox News. I have to be careful what I say and stick to what has been approved in my book. And that was directly from Elizondo. Okay, now you're thinking, why does this shit matter, right? The Pentagon confirmations, Navy encounters, and the testimonies of people like Bob Lazar, Louis Elizondo, and David Grush matters because it challenges what we think we know about science, government transparency, and our place in the universe. If these objects are real, they could represent technologies far beyond our current understanding with the potential to change science and even how we view life itself. And if the government truly has knowledge or materials they've kept hidden, then it's not just a mystery, it's an issue of truth, progress, and accountability. Whether or not these craft are from another world, something extraordinary is happening in our skies. So, I want to know your guys' thoughts. This might not go anywhere, I really don't give a fuck. But if it does, I can make another one about famous sightings. I have the footage of everything, of the most of the ones that I mentioned. But I hope you got a little bit of a change of perspective now.
Crazy, bro.
And that will lead us to UFOs. All right. Now, I know you're into this topic.
What we're seeing, these phenomena are spiritual phenomena. They've been here forever. There's a lot of evidence of that in the written record going back thousands of years. They're angels and demons, of course. The way to know what the truth is by figuring out what they're trying to prevent you from believing. And if you look at the U.S. government propaganda, DOD propaganda, on the question of UFOs, UAPs, the one thread that connects all of it is that these are not supernatural. These are little green men from Mars. They're weather phenomenon. They're experimental aircraft. The one thing that they don't want you to believe is that they are spiritual entities.
Why would that be so threatening to them?
Well, that's a great question. That is the question. Consistent with what we know about spiritual forces, which is always a deal. You know, bow down before me and all of this will be yours. I mean, it's kind of the core story in the New Testament, and it's the template for our own lives. And there is a lot of informed speculation that the U.S. government has participated in this, and the defense technology, in particular nuclear technology, is the product of that. I will say one extremely interesting thing that no one seems to know is that it's not exactly clear where nuclear technology came from.
What are you talking about?
Well, I mean, the only thing I could verify was what I had my hands on. There were different projects. Project Sidekick was supposed to be weapon applications of the craft. Project Looking Glass had to do with time, any effects of time in the craft. What Commander Fravor saw as he was in the F-18 approaching it, he described it as a ping pong ball in a cup and shaking it back and forth. It was moving that fast. Now, obviously, if there's anything inside there, it's going to be battered to hell. Well, one of two things. Either there's a gravitational envelope in there which negates any inertia effects, or you are seeing through a gravity distortion field. So, you know, just like you're looking at a highway and you see, you know, an optical distortion going through there. Well, the same thing happens in gravity, and the craft may not actually be moving like that. It may just look like it. So it may be making much more gentle moves. I'm not saying that's it, but it has to be one of the two.
Bruh, this sounds crazy.
So the CIA was interested in potentially tracking the activity of hybrids, human-alien hybrids in the United States.
That and going back in their lineage.
Their lineage.
Right, and going back in their ancestry. I don't know how they collected this DNA. You know, we have oversight now, and that oversight started in the mid-'70s, congressional oversight. This sounded like it occurred before there was congressional oversight, because you couldn't do that today.
Yeah, no, it'd be illegal.
Yes, completely. So this may have occurred earlier.
Right.
That they were interested, and then when we developed in the 90s, we developed the ability to sequence the human genome completely. That may have furthered the investigation into the alien DNA.
Has there ever been, and feel free to answer this with a one-word answer, has there ever been a situation that you were in where you've gotten confirmation of the government's involvement with human-alien hybrids?
Yes.
Ooh-wee.
Freeze this frame and watch the eyelids. That shouldn't be easy to fake in 2011. 14 years later, there's still no set photo, no maker, and no clean original tapes. This is one of the most unusual videos I've ever seen. If this was a hoax, it was at the highest level. And if this is real, it was definitely curated. Either way, it is the most convincing alien footage on YouTube, and it has yet to be fully debunked. This unresolved case has been haunting me and plaguing me for years. There's a massive debate online. Some people think it's clearly fake due to some of the things that they've added in post. And some people, especially the people that have looked further into this, have said, well, let's not jump the gun. I've tampered with the original footage by applying various effects, such as damaged film overlay, like this. So Brooklyn Robot on Reddit managed to track down the exact film damage overlay Ivan used.
Wow.
The Shutterstock and the Pond 5, it's exactly the same.
Wow.
You know, here are all the layers. This is so good. That is so cool that they went and did this. I love the internet for that. Today, this is really interesting because now that we have AI video, if I want to mask something to make sure that you don't think it's AI, I might do so by adding in film, blurs and scratches and moire and all of these different tactics, maybe a shaky camera, so that you can't pinpoint whether or not I have 6 fingers on my hand. All the layers that are on the original footage, we can assume to be complete garbage, fake nonsense. I'm with you there. But what about the core? What about the video itself? What about the contents of the video? Are those fake? Well, this is where things get a little more interesting, and pardon the pun, becomes a bit of a gray area. This article, written by Noah Raddick in July of 2024, says a skinny bob is not CGI, and by applying a technique known as ELA, this is able to show areas that were edited or inserted in post, such as face swapping, objects added, CGI effects, etc. The ELA has some slight outlines, but not enough to prove it was modified. Only a part of his body is outlined with some noise, and not the rest. It's indicative that Skinny Bob has not been modified at all. Folks, are we looking at a real alien here? It's kind of insane. It's kind of intense. But that's what we might be dealing with.
That would be crazy. That would be crazy.
Well, these are the benevolent aliens, and they've been here helping us. In fact, I have a picture. Let me reach for it here.
Oh.
I have a picture of one of the aliens been working for the United States Pentagon for the last 58 years. His name is Valiant Thor.
He's right
guy. Here. There's my father in the background. This whole place, the ready room of the USS Eldridge, Al Bielek has probably explained, or maybe even shown you this picture. There's a list of some of the notable people in it. They're all the atomic bomb scientists of the day, all the time variant experimentalists of the day, all the top physicists of that particular day. This was in August of 1943. Now, this guy has not changed one iota in 58 years.
Really?
Started work. He came here, crashed here, or whatever. Whether he's under duress or not, he started work for our U.S. Navy and military operations in 1937, either 37 or 38 is what I've been told. So it's for 58 years, this man's been employed, probably under duress. If you don't do as we say, we're just going to use you for alien bait or something, I don't know. But anyway, he basically hasn't changed. He lives for 490 years, is what he says his lifespan is. Now, He was supposedly a semi-benevolent, he's a human-looking type person. He has 6 fingers and 6 toes, and he's got one oversized heart, one lung, giant lung. His blood vessels are bigger. He's got copper oxide for blood, similar to an octopus. His brain capacity 300 centimeters greater than ours.
Wow.
He has a thinking capacity, IQ, if you were to measure it, be totally off the scale, be about a 1200 IQ. He speaks 100 languages fluently, alien as well as others. He's a remarkable person. I had a chance to meet him one time. Now, by the way, he doesn't shake hands. He was kind of in a spacesuit, because all aliens, regardless benevolent or otherwise, they're carrying germs and diseases and bacterium in and on them that are deadly to us. If I were making policy, I'd quarantine them all, because how do we not know that some of our diseases like AIDS, Ebola, hantavirus, and a few of these other weird designer diseases, as I call them, are not made from the cadavers of some of these aliens as a biological weapon to use against the people of the United States? Well, I'm tired. I'm a tired American speaking out.
All right, guys, that was another TikTok compilation, man. That was about extraterrestrials and aliens and UAPs and the government covering it up. Do you think we ever gonna really know the truth about these aliens or extraterrestrials? And do you think they exist? Yes or no? You made it this far, you a real one for real. Make sure you put that in the comments, man. Hey, if you into this stuff, I got a TikTok playlist you can binge watch. Be careful. Proceed with caution. But till next time, man, self-love and positivity. Fire Squad, I got you and you know it.